Hey everybody, what's happening? Adam here. This is Go To Outdoors. Today, I am walking around Harpers Ferry. And there's a train going by. Those are cattle cars. We have an engine in the middle right there. Because that's a long train. I'll bring you back when it's gone. So, it's a little bit windy today. Okay, it's a lot bit windy today. Probably average about 20 knot winds. And right over the Appalachian Trail footbridge here, it's really pronounced. As you can see, my wind indicator is kind of going flat out. But yeah, just decided to come out here today to A, get my walking in, and B, work on my photography. I just came out to work on my composition, my setups. All the pictures I'm taking today, I've set actually my one lens, and I'm only using it as though it was a prime lens, one particular focal length. I set it to 35 millimeters. So everything I want to try and get a picture of today, I have to move me, or I have to move the subject. I have to change point of view. Not messing with anything when it has to do with lighting and color scaling or anything like that. That's going to come later. Right now, today, I'm doing my basics. I'm working on the fundamentals. So I'm going to get a couple hundred photos today probably. And I'll pick out a couple of the best ones, I think are the best ones, and I'll pop them in here. Until I finish that project, I'll be back. I gotta say, considering it's 56 degrees and extremely windy, I'm kind of surprised at how many people are here today, apart from park staff. Speaking of park staff, there's a gentleman here who looks like a ridge runner down in Southern Virginia who brought me into town when I got sick. He's on the phone, so I might go see if it's actually him. I'll be back again. I can't believe it actually was him. What are the odds? What are the odds of finding him here? So yeah, that was really cool. I mean, what are the odds of running into somebody that you saw for 45 minutes one time in the middle of a 2,200 mile stretch of trail, and just on a day when you decided to go on a wild hare and head out to a local town, Harpers Ferry, which of course, like I've said in other videos, is very close to me. I just wanted to walk around, take some photos, and explore the whole Appalachian Trail stuff, all the history, all the stuff that's there for you to appreciate. And lo and behold, there was actually a ridge runner for the Appalachian Trail who happened to be right there. It's a small world. What can I say? So when I went out there to Harpers Ferry, what I did was just take a bunch of photos. And what I wanted to do was actually just take some photos that were just, port or landscape orientation, good solid backgrounds I could start using for this nonsense behind me, because who wants to look at a green screen all the time? And I know when I'm editing this, it's probably going to get goofy because I wore a green shirt as well. Yeah. Let me fix that. Okay, so I'm back, and I'm wearing camo because it was nearby here in the basement, where I do most of my other stuff and where I keep my gear. So, that being said, now I should have enough contrast against the green screen behind me. Let's see what happens when I do this. So, there we go. Now we have, my background is actually a scene from my favorite picture that I believe I took while I was on the entire Appalachian Trail. Scenery-wise, anyway. My favorite picture I took on the entire trail was actually when I was at McAfee Knob, or however you pronounce that. I still don't know that for sure because it depends where you're from and how you hear people say it, like so many things. But I'm actually going to have an episode in the near future where I'm just going to break down a couple of favorite photos that I took while I was on my 880 mile stretch that I did on the trail this year. And it'll give me a couple ideas for how to compose future pictures, future videos, and things like that the next time I head back out on the trail. But for the time being, let's just go through today and look at some of the photos I took while I was actually at Harpers Ferry. So this first one, I was actually at the right there in downtown Harpers Ferry itself, and I turned this little corner here, and I saw something that to me, for some reason, just looked like it could have come out of an old photo of some old English town. I mean, worn brick. You know, it was patched with concrete. You know, there was looked like a Polonia or a catalpa tree growing right out of the side of the brick. You know, and it's for some reason it looked like something that I could use as a wallpaper. I wouldn't say it looks iconic, but it looks old. It looks classic. So that's why I took that one. And I mean, when you look at it, it just has a feeling of a place that's been well used. You know, it doesn't look clean, doesn't look fresh. It looks old and, you know, somewhat from an industrial time. You know, I really don't know how to explain it. I really like the scene, so I decided to snap that pic. So in this next one here, I was right next to the train tracks. There are some trains that actually roll right through Harpers Ferry. They are still active train tracks. So this one really caught my eye, and you know, I decided to just kneel down next to it and take a picture. It just, for some reason, it really looked cool. It's a perspective thing. The second photo, of course, is just right from the other side of those exact same trail tracks. There's train tracks, trail tracks. What the heck is a trail track, Adam? Come on. Anyway, so this was the other side, and with that, it just, you know, curved off in the same direction. Obviously, it just had a different perspective next to the trails that you walk through, and it just honestly, I just thought it was a great picture. I was hoping that there was going to be more color on the leaves and the trees, but there weren't, so, you know, it is what it is. Now, this next one is actually from one of the hardware stores, the old historical hardware stores that's obviously right there. If you couldn't tell what it was by me saying it, the sign's right there. Anyway, I like it because it combined, I've always liked old stone buildings, and that's something I kind of seek out wherever I go. I like stacked stone for some reason. I like stone walls, stone towers, stone buildings. And of course, having the old timbers in there as well. I've always liked that old, rustic kind of, I don't know. Rustic, I think, is the best way to describe it. I just like that style of building. To me, it's very appealing. And of course, this is something that I got another picture just of the bricks, because the bricks themselves were eye-catching. And that's another background I'll probably have here on some other video in the future. And this photo here is actually, I walked out onto that rail bridge where I was actually at the intro to the video here today. I just decided to turn around and see if I could get a good perspective. I will be going back there again, probably try and hit that in early morning, because I like the way this photo looks. I just wish I hadn't gotten the people in there. And the lighting wasn't quite right. So this was just a quick snap, you know, to see what I can see. Working more on my photo composition than an actual, you know, award-winning prize. But there you have it. And the last one of these pictures here is, of course, just a snap of where the two rivers come together there at Harpers Ferry. The right side of the screen, like the mountains that go on the right side of the river there, that's actually all Virginia. Where I'm standing is West Virginia. And the mountain that comes down from the left side of this picture is actually Maryland. So this is the convergence corner of 3 separate states. And of course, the river coming in from the left, where that old knocked over rail bridge is, that is actually the Potomac. And the river coming in from the right-hand side of this picture is the Shenandoah. So not only is this the convergence point for 3 different states, it's actually the convergence point for 2 of the major rivers in the area, which, hey, that's just cool. By the way, it's a great place to go fishing. Anywhere around there, yeah, go fishing there. You will not be disappointed. You're going to have to get wet, because the current's really, really strong in a lot of places, and you wouldn't want to kayak there, but if you don't mind getting wet and don't mind wading out there, there's some really good fishing to be had. Those are pretty much the photos that I liked out of the hundreds that I took while I was there at Harpers Ferry. I was there for about 2.5 hours walking around. I actually ran into a trio of Sobo thru hikers. They were just stopping into Harpers Ferry on their way. They were actually going to try and get to Raven Rocks. I want to say they were trying to get to Raven Rocks. They were still trying to get another 15 miles that day. on 15 to 17 miles going southbound that day, pretty much to where the start of these, roller coaster is. So they were in good spirits. They were feeling great, and I actually spent about 20 minutes talking to them. They were really good folks. I also ran into a pair of folks that were just doing a section hike. They were doing Waynesboro to Harpers Ferry, so they were just finishing up their section hike going northbound. So every time I go there, I manage to run into people that just are there to enjoy the moment. Whether you're going up top, where people take some really iconic photographs. I'm sure you've seen them if you're anywhere on Instagram or Facebook or something. Anybody goes hiking Harpers Ferry, they take one picture looking down on where the train tracks come together and kind of cut through town there. And I'll have another one of those pictures at some point in one of my videos because I go to Harpers Ferry all the time. I just really like going there. It's peaceful. If you can find parking, it's a great place to spend a couple hours. But yeah, so that's basically all I had for this video. I was just kind of going around testing out my photography. It is something I really want to get better at. The camera I have can get me a lot of where I want to go, and I want to make sure I can get the best I can with this camera before I spend any more money to upgrade to a better camera. Eventually, I will have this down to, but I really want to be able to take a great photograph that makes you feel like you're in the moment. And that's kind of why, again, that's why I bring you on my adventures. I want to share what I see with you. And if I can do that with photo, if I can do that with video, if I can do that with this channel, I'm happy at the end of the day. But that's all I got for you today. And like I always say, thanks again for watching. Make sure you find a reason to smile today, and I'll catch you in the next one.